Monday, May 18th, 12:30 p.m. What's up, everybody? We survived the weekend. We are back here on Datadog. Again, last time we checked in, trigger finger was itching. Should we close or not close Datadog? Really just for the uncertainty of the weekend. Didn't expect anything big to happen. Nothing big did happen. But we're still in an overall momentum environment. It's kind of fading. Definitely the sentiment, feeling that today. As we called last week, I documented the times when I said I feel like the sentiment's feeling weaker. Little bit of portfolio construction, a little bit of talking points. But to check in on our trade of Datadog, we opened up today a little bit down. Immediately kind of pop up. Kind of look like we're channeling between like a 207 and 210. With our kind of like our technical level, which we don't really have any for this. We're at all-time highs. I'm kind of around 208, where it just feels like, hey, this is like the level where it's like above here. We feel like we're making a noticeable movement up. And below there, it feels like, okay, maybe we're getting into the range where the momentum is going to start to fade. And so we had touched that 208 level. I'm back going into Thursday, pre-market, or again, I guess, late market or late after hours Wednesday, going into the start of Thursday, the day. Then we had this recent high on Friday into the 211, which we did come off that decent. We reapproached that this morning. Again, all right around that again. I want to say closer to 1030. I can just move my face and see. Let's move my face again. Whoa, I'm on the left side. Uh-oh, look at me. I'm moving. Now I'm going back this way. But like 1040, I'd say this candle is like when it's like, okay, this is a move down. I'm at least, again, to establish like the intraday kind of range. Should this continue to trade sideways without big stimulus, definitely not seeing any selling pressure, but certainly not seeing a huge amount of buying pressure either. Kind of expecting the intraday, which is our most dominant, relevant thing, stock-specific intraday sentiment, to establish kind of a channel. Hey, what is a move outside of what we kind of expect? Would be like make our eyes, we check our phone, see the price action. It's like, okay, this is something's going on. And so I would say right around the 1033 this candle, so right at the start of the 1030 to 1033 was when I feel like we again came off the opening trade momentum and kind of channeling since then. And so again, not feeling great, definitely not feeling great. We have half of our size at a hard stop loss. And I think I have this right now at 217. I've moved this a couple times. Again, the overall dollar figure is not that big of a deal. We're never trying to lose any dollars, but a reasonable risk reward for our prospectus. Again, kind of looking technically for a gap fill with some sort of tailwinds of just downward pressure for the market, both for the immediate short term and then for kind of this, we've been having a war for a while, and hey, fuel affects literally everything. So it's like, but then again, trying to argue immediately the opposite doesn't matter. Can the market, quote unquote, look through that? It's just, again, the overall conviction I have in this environment, trading equities, trading stocks, just highly liquid financial instruments, is just like, And so, as we state in every episode, every trade, we're just looking for the most amount of extension one way that we think is going to reverse, kind of. And we take an extremely reasonable position in relation to that. And so, channeling to this upper level of, hey, not feeling super great, have a hard stop loss, the 217, that level, as we were talking on Friday, kind of arbitrary, but just a level where I feel like, okay, $215 is some sort of psychological whole number, kind of, I guess. It's some sort of rationale. And then the spread's big enough where it's like 20 cents to 80 cents on this stock has been pretty normal. So you need at least a couple dollars above that. So 217 seems like, hey, above that, it's like a substantial move upwards. But then even a fluctuation up to the 215 with this recent movement to the 211 would not surprise me in any way, shape, or form. If this catches real momentum, we just rip right through that and no one cares. And so again, overall market capitalization, right around, we can just freaking look. But 73 billion. And so again, just getting numbers in your head for overall just kind of something, but why can't this be 150 billion? Why not 25 times earnings? Why not 10? Well, who knows? No conviction on that stuff, as we always state and emphasize. And so hard stop loss for half the share size, and just kind of the overall general principles, whereas like if it does make a genuine move up, that's just at a total dollar figure I want to cut off, and then I want to reassess. Is like I don't want to smash out the whole position. Again, if it hits the 217 and immediately goes down, you feel like an absolute idiot. Can't really avoid that. I mean, that's just a hard risk reward. You can always look for a new opportunity, but if it's the one trade that goes against you, and I really never take like huge positions. Even if I'm like trying to make money, as we've articulated, none of these positions are to make money. We're not trying to lose it, but we're trying to capture overall moves and document the momentum progression. So we've been following, again, what's broadly called technology, what's broadly called artificial intelligence, and specifically memory, SanDisk, and Micron. And so for our position right now, hard stop loss here, and we're going to head on over to these other tickers. And so no position on these, definitely seeing some weakness today. Technically, you can see, again, our adaptive moving average, 2, 3, and 10. But below this, again, losing some momentum here. Joe T just trimmed some of Micron. Again, no real opinion on Joe T. We just kind of talked about him specifically with the CF trade. Again, I'd there's only so much you can know in finance. Like I'm not over here saying like I know some secret answers, and I think there are no secret answers. There's just data that changes really fucking quick. And it's not like the data is that indicative of anything to begin with. But some noticeable technical weakness over here. Certainly if we close into these levels, anything below 700 on Micron, really 734. But again, whatever breaks the momentum cycle. Again, last week we're over there, like 3 trading sessions ago, we're at these highs. Oh, this could go into 2028. And now it's like, this could fade tomorrow. And so again, just emphasizing, I feel like, again, as long as overall we can say the market's appreciating, and that's just people reacting to momentum in general, and again, the indices funds capture the momentum, and they kind of should. Again, these topics get so big where it's like I want to break off to something, but I'm trying to keep it centralized enough to be meaningful. But you can just see where overall, what I call immature investor base, just people getting excited, like little kids getting excited for Christmas, stocks going up, everyone's getting excited. We have this overall patriotic tailwind of people love to say the stock market's going up as if it's some reflective of some great fundamental American value. And so people will be saying the stock market's going up. You'll be feeling emotionally the momentum of like the upward pressure, but they'll just be kind of reacting to saying momentum's here. We can say stocks are going up. But then you can look around the market. Some are going down, some are flat, some are going up. And then now currently we're talking about how narrow the rally is, when we're saying stocks going up, reflecting the momentum overall is, concentrated into these memory names. And so seeing some weakness here, but you just, again, emphasizing how quick it changes. And so it's like the conversations from 4 trading sessions ago where it's like, is this going to be at $3,000? SanDisk, is that going to be at $3,000? I just think the error, right, again, why we play the short position is you can feel that momentum. And as we documented on Friday, even still now with Datadog, you just feel such a strong, the sentiment relationship to the price action when it goes against you. I've never been in a position where it's like, I made some sort of great fundamental acknowledgement. Frankly, the Bitcoin cryptocurrency, that discrepancy is a fundamental development. Overall, which trade goes in your favor on a given liquid in a given liquid environment is the same kind of like you're not a genius for picking something great and you're not an idiot for losing some money. It's the overall management of not getting overextended, not swinging for the fences arbitrarily or really ever. I mean, you can build a position that would seem big to people, but managing the entries and the overall risk exposure. You can make big bets, quote unquote, with genuinely good conservative, meaning not risking or exposing a lot of money, taking on a huge risk reasonably. And so, we are seeing some weakness here for sure. SPY, we'll check there again. That's nothing noticeable technically. We'll say it's down. There's a red candle, but. Stocks are jiggling around as expected. We're over here at the Dow Jones. Not sure what Pam's up to. Stocks are jiggling around over here. But we'll pop back over to SanDisk. And so again, just these exponential adaptive moving averages, some weakness below there. Again, I really don't even put that much credence into that. It's just, again, once you watch the price action enough, you can tell when something big is going on or something noticeably out of the normal pattern. And so, again, back to him saying people echo this overall momentum's up, and people really like that, and you can see this verbiage of huge appreciations, and then 2 days later, literally, 3 days later, literally, and it's just like, it's almost like a 180. And so that's why we always fade the momentum, because it just seems like you get again, I'm an investor. I'm buying SanDisk. It's an American company, bald eagle screeching again. And you kind of get like this pat on your back from Uncle Sam feeling of, hey, I'm doing the right thing, when in reality you're trying to make money and there's just market dynamics. You don't tell the market how to behave. You just try to swim with the current. Again, you don't want to be a contrarian. You want to be the first person to swim right before the whole crowd changes or it continues on. You just want to have some sort of conviction of something's going to go up, then you buy it, or something's going to go sell or go down and you sell it. And it always makes sense to do that. And then you get into the concept or discussion of overtrading, because it literally makes sense all of the time, every time. And just like I'm sitting here making a discrete choice, every single person is making a discrete choice. So even on these, again, 3-minute candles, let's say I wanted to go long SanDisk right now, just arbitrarily. Do I do it right now? Do I buy on the market? Do I put up a buy the bid? And so it's just like the immediate, like this momentum is like proportional. And so even on the like this immediate intraday, like when do I put one toe in? Do you just jump in? You just dive in? You have to. And it's kind of like a reflective of this. Every decision is a discrete, independent action. And so all of this price action is literally all of the momentum, price sentiment we're reflecting. Everybody else is doing the same thing. And so you just see these patterns emerge that kind of reflect the overall cycling of that behavior. Again, with the kind of like the base maturity being like 7% of like knowing how to behave, and then a genuine what the fuck of like what you can know, and then a genuine what the fuck of how a given economic stimulus reflects in price action. And so that's what's overall going on for our portfolio construction consideration. We'll throw up Datadog while we talk about some data points, some talking points. So this was very rare. Ash Ketchum's dad made an appearance. We had John Ketchum, the CEO and president of Next Era Energy. Didn't have anything to say about the energy sector. I saw John Ketchum. He must be the dad of Ash Ketchum. And so I wrote that down. But again, emphasizing, or just another, again, in real time, we talked about Ed Yardeni. He had this great theory of the universe, the Buzz Lightyear theory, to infinity and beyond. Again, reflecting just the sentiment associated with momentum, specifically appreciative momentum to the American dream. Stocks are going up. Joe T's momentum factor. That has nothing to do with wanting rates to reflect dual mandate of maximum employment or minimum inflation. It's just like, yeah, dude, Americans winning, bro. Hashtag winning. But Ed Yardeni now says, we just had the Buzz Lightyear theory, the to infinity and beyond Lightyear model. And now Ed Yardeni is calling for maybe 2 rate hikes. Still calling for a big appreciation on the S&P, which overall, again, from a decision-making, when do I click what to make money, I'm bullish overall. Again, like I said, then we're back into I just don't have constitutional rights. You're not going to be in my situation. My situation's actually fucked. Somebody pay me some money. That is not a joke. I'm destitute. That is not a joke. No one cares. Trying to make content that isn't just that. But if I was managing a portfolio without, again, true wealth right behind a wall of illegal activity committed by the government, and I was trying to grow a portfolio, my entries into either the S&P or into stock-specific industries or sectors that I would like, and I would trade overall sectors. If I had $10,000 I wanted to invest, I would pick 3 stocks in a given sector. To me, sector is like the irreducible. If biotech goes crazy, all of the biotechs, or at least the closest ones, are all going to trade the same. And then you just, what one's going to go the most appreciative or the most depreciative if you have a short position or put exposure, is just kind of, frankly, rather arbitrary. And so you want exposure, to me, at the sector levels where it like makes the most sense to concentrate. If you wanted to make it more specific than just an indice. And so for long positions, sector specific or stock specific or indice, that's the war time, right? The initial digestion of the Iran conflict. We were down in the 4,700s, 4,800s on the QQ, SPY, at least the income funds, whatever the corresponding underlying was. Like those types of moments is when I'm going to the long position, making a decision. Hey, I don't know what's going to cause these retracements. I'm overall bullish on population, overall bullish on limiting inefficiency, maximizing profit. To me, is really just minimizing inefficiency. But to enter a long position, sector specific, it's always on these big, like, unpredictable kind of like, what the fuck is that? This is definitely down, and then being bullish overall. That's when you enter. You can absolutely buy into momentum, but that's just, again, tight stop losses. That's not like a growth mindset where it's like, hey, I want to buy today and just let it chill there for 18 months. It's like, I'm going to buy today, but either I'm going to have a trailing stop or I'm going to be like checking on my terminal. Again, if I was an average, I don't say average in terms of like a given dollar figure, but just like lifestyle. Like either I have to or I want to wake up, and I'm not literally sitting watching the markets all of the time. Again, that's when I would take long positions. And so, but again, just emphasizing how quickly these things change. Ed Yardeni's still saying, I think it was like out of 70. You can just go look it up, whatever he was calling overall in the S&P, but maybe 2 rate hikes. The point here, just emphasizing how quick kind of the sentiment and discussion changes around this stuff. Overall, it seems, again, Scott Wapner was the host currently on the whole market, again, talking about it, but not like taking a rate hike seriously until it happens. Again, as like a ding to Joe T's momentum factor, as if, again, you kicked the neighborhood dog when you raised the rates, when it's just like, again, I've covered that as much as I want to for now. Nothing new. Overall rate hikes, again, help some people for fixed income, but for demand generation and for good expansion and for the robust consumer, rate hikes up or down is not a big thing to me. And then just limiting overall inflation comes from the printing of money, with the interest rates being, again, I like to criticize the behavior. If Jensen Huang right now is over there like, oh yeah, hey Donald, if you knock those rates down 1%, I'll expand that. To me, that's not good expansion, right? That's not mature behavior. It's not fiduciary. We are not being fiduciaries if we're expanding. Again, there's a good clear point in business progression when you expand. And if you have to like ticky tack around a rate, to me, that's just not. It's certainly not demand generation. 1% over a large chunk of money is substantial money. I don't know. I just always get this impression that when people are saying we want the rates lower, it's like rah, 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 go America stock team, and it's just not good behavior. And then I literally have a visceral reaction to like this immature locker room type of, it's our team, we're winning, fuck everything, and it's just like, it's not mature and not in like an emotional way. Just like, it doesn't make sense. It's not sound. It's not good. It doesn't accomplish the goals of, again, quality of life. We're all in this economy, right? I don't need an extra 100 square foot on my house if Billy's over there gonna steal my shit, right? I might not even care about Billy, but if he's gonna go commit crime, the overall net investment to the economy, to the ecology, to the environment is detriment, right? If Johnny's so upset about his quality of life that he's willing to cause me $10,000 of damage on my property, it doesn't matter what the morals are, it's still, I lose property value. And so the whole society benefits from the diminishing of crime. For the whole, again, law enforcement, we're all in this together. Let's all get rich and do less stupid shit. Seems like a pretty motivating, centralizing thesis. And so just emphasizing that on the Ed Yardeni. Moving along, we have Oliver Rennick at the CBOE. I don't even know what that is. But it's like the options floor. We're always checking in with Oliver Rennick. Wanted to give again, kind of a new face on the CNBC floor or team. What do I think about Oliver? I think he looks like a fat, or not fat, but like a properly nourished Jesse Pinkman. The guy from Breaking Bad, the assistant to Walter White. That was the talking point. That's just what I got. But overall, again, it's interesting to see people, because again, this is a human being, obviously. But I feel like he's new. Again, I have no idea who this guy is. But just his overall presentation, it feels like the hosts are like, "Hey, Oliver, what's up?" Like, he feels like he's new to media broadcasting, like just getting in front of cameras, or at least publicly, hey, this is going to go in front of everybody. So it does seem like there's some jitters. He seems like a new guy on the team, and they're trying to team all of the criminals over at CNBC. Hey, Oliver, I'm suing all of you guys, so that's fun. And criminal charges too. It's not just like, it's so many people out there in the world where it's like, I'm going to sue you. Like, the worst thing is getting a lawsuit, and it's just like jail time. Like, you guys fucked up my whole life. So, shouldn't join if all your friends are joining gangs, and even if it's called CNBC and a legacy media company, it doesn't matter. Crime is crime. But which brings me to another point. That's all I had to say about Oliver for now. But we had a regulator, I believe, somebody named Carr. He was just on at 11:20. Two things for him when I'm talking about the form of logic disseminates, right? I don't know about any other scientists out there that had that Latino dude from Reddit. If your butthole comes out of your butthole, that is inversion. That is now solidified in the conceptual progress of the human species. Very inspiring stuff. But again, this Carr guy, it's the form of logic. The syllability, the elementality of the sounds you can make associated to logic is limited. But Carr says, specifically at 11:20, again, just an example in real time, he says scale matters. And we're talking about media broadcasting, like, we'll get here in a second, but just like primetime news outlets versus like quote-unquote alternative outlets. But first point, scale matters, is clearly, this form of logic of size matters, right? Everyone gets that. Everybody feels that logic when it's presented. That's what's happening. That's what's already been happening for 10 years everywhere. And why can't somebody give me a little bit of money so I can just fucking have some quality of life is profoundly historically disgraceful and illegal. But wanted to point that out. That is what is happening with everything. Fundamental physics. Because it is what it is. Physics and linguistics are just iterations of it is existence. It is what it is. Wanted to emphasize that, but then more important, or again, additionally, I make this point, I've made it in several videos, is that, this differentiation between public and private is not well defined. And Carr makes this point explicitly and directly. He says something to the effect of, we're talking about regulation between primetime television, right? There's that, everyone in the United States, Sunday at 7 p.m. comes on, and the real news is on because that click, click, click of 60 Minutes, right? And so now we have an example of what is called legacy media, but is really a private company that is truly publicly incentivized, or the sentience of the public. Again, you're on the boomer generation where everything on legacy media is true, or at least it has more credibility to a substantial level where the regulators are sitting there saying, you can ask them, what's the difference between a YouTube channel and NBC or CBS, right? 60 Minutes is on CBS. What's the difference? Well, one is we have a guy and he sits at a desk and they have the internet and they stream it, but now we all have the same camera equipment. So what is the difference between quote-unquote legacy media and alternative news outlets, YouTube or whatever? It's just credibility, which is validation by sentience. And so that's what I'm saying is you can't have companies, private companies like YouTube, you can't have a private company say, hey, the Constitution isn't real. And everybody would say, yeah, that's true. But then it's like, okay, so what is the terms and services of YouTube? Can that ever violate what is supposed to be protected by free speech? The answer should be never. But you do have that. You have that tremendously so. And so no private company should be able to say, hey, the public law doesn't matter, and this difference between public and private is not well defined. And that's exactly what Carr is talking about. There is just this credibility to what is quote-unquote called the legacy media. But reality, and that's the whole point of the Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8 of the United States Constitution, to protect one's rights to the writings and discoveries to progress science. Sure. I mean, this is real-time legal historical evidence. We have people saying, like, from the FBI, like, throughout these years of me trying to get anyone to give a fuck about the law. They say, look, you published it on YouTube. You got it out there. It's published. It doesn't have the credibility of being on 60 Minutes. Oh, those two African-American girls, they got on there for their not novel proof of what the fuck ever. But imagine if you put fundamental science in front of people, which is your professional direct legal obligation. Huh. How many heads does that turn? How much credibility, how much validation, how much verification to fundamental science which directly affects health? I have grave bodily harm. I cannot take care of my own personal health. Fuck the world. I want to take care of myself. Can't. Literally can't, because our great Governor DeWine, our Supreme Leader Michael, and our Supreme Leader Donald do not respect the United States Constitution. And they're too fucking stupid to know how to behave. Truly. It's like, to be a good leader, you have to be a good follower. But if everyone doesn't know what to do, you're just like, holy shit. And then we've been at a point for year upon year upon year. Here is the law. Do your job. You guys are citing fraudulent law behind closed doors. It is illegal. And then you guys just have no value to law. Specifically, I'm thinking of Lou Elizondo. He is more involved in I still need to make a whole video on that. But I'm just kind of using this as my vlog anyway. Not even vlog, again, just what I would put in the language litigation integration series. Just might as well talk about it. It's the same talking points, just in an economic backdrop, I guess. But that dude is lying. There's so many people lying that I know publicly, and just nobody will listen. But everyone knows about me, but nobody's talking about it publicly. And it's just the weirdest fucking time ever in history ever. But sticking with our economic point is there is credibility to legacy media. There's no functional difference between a news outlet. But there is sentience, there is confirmation, there's society, there's honor, there's integrity, or at least what people think there is. And so, a perfect great example of there is this no real well-defined boundary between public and private. And again, not putting fundamental scientific research on the evening news has caused more death and destruction globally. And then you just have these military intelligence agency apparatus that says, well, we have these other laws that matter more. Again, specifically citing Eric Weinstein sitting on Lex Friedman saying, Lex going, maybe we should. And Eric's like, no, we might go to jail. Eric, you're going to go to prison for the rest of your life. You guys are just the academics in the public limelight sitting on fucking stages. You guys are the pinnacle of the problem. But I mean, it's been, if you do not serve a direct functional role to progressing societal's essential functions and you've committed crimes, you're being prosecuted, there is absolutely nothing you can do about it. Just go fuck yourself. Nothing will change that. Because again, the form of logic is being disseminated. It's sitting there right here on Brad's YouTube channel. I'm doing a movie review right now. Oh, just uploaded. That one got a C-. And so, yeah, you guys have fucked up so profoundly and historically, there's literally nothing you can do. And we just continue to lie, cheat, and steal every single day. But that was a great, poignant point. And he literally talks about, he says, or again, I just have notes, but he said, my notes say, he's talking about unique regulation requirements for quote-unquote primetime or broadcast legacy, as if it's held to like a higher standard because it has this public acceptance and this public influence, and it's a part of the public sentiment, right? Sentiment and sentience is this collective awareness of experience. It is not within any one individual. And so it's just amazing to see, like, again, the regulator is saying, you know, if you want to go look at more fringe things, right, you can go look at those weird UFO videos. So now the president's, it's just, you're at this point where everybody's lying. Everybody knows everybody's lying. And they're still, like, carrying on like there's some, like, you guys just aren't, like, fucked in the most disgusting way possible. Like I said, by my estate, there's nothing you can do to stop the dissemination of the form of logic, of the form of analysis, demonstrably, provably. So I continue to emphasize, why can't I get a little bit of money? I will do whatever anybody, security apparatus, I will do anything you want out there. I will say anything, doesn't matter. All I want to do is live some aspect of my life. And I just don't see how that ever changes with how pathetic all of the commoners are and how corrupted all of the people in power are. It sounds so cliche. It honestly just sounds so cliche, but it's fucking true. I exist currently and existed around people that are lawyers and doctors that have an instinctual, visceral reaction to deny science and law. To me, science and law is the same thing. And so it's just like people are at this immature level of behavior where they can't do the right thing because they literally sit there and say, "Oh, how would this affect?" Like again, it is a decision making is this social assessment of responsibility and net benefit and net detriment to the single individual. And as long as people can say, I don't feel responsibility for that, they don't care. Again, an orphanage could be burning down right next to them, and they'll be like, "Oh, nope, look, the Patriots are on already, 8 p.m. The Carlsons, they're coming over. They're bringing the kids, and they're going to hang out and watch the Patriots game. Who cares about that orphanage burning to the ground? It's not my problem." And so, again, just talking through our points. One last thing I did want to just kind of popped into my head for whatever the conversations were going on today is just dividend distribution frequency. Like if I wanted to be a company and be like, I'm a edgy, I'm trendy, I'm a new upcoming spunky company. Is there any, just again, thought that came to my head is like, why quarterly dividends, right? We have, income funds on monthly basis. We have some income funds on weekly. Too much NAV erosion. Got a lot of NAV over there. But just like overall, why frequency distribution once a quarter or once a month? Why not, like, again, in real time profit sharing for the shareholders? Or again, like, just something that came to mind as like a thought. I don't know. If I was a company, I'm operating, I'm cash flow positive. Because again, if you run a restaurant, right, at the end of the day or whenever your shift's done, you have different times when you cash out your cash register, right? You do accounting at different steps. It's like, so like why not do like a more high frequency distribution of stock? Like if I had a stock where I held it, it trades effectively like any other company, like it is a company, but the actual distributions are like in real time to like the day even. Would be kind of like, I don't know, a thought that just popped in my head might be even just like a fun thing to attract people to your stock. I don't know. I'm creating economic talking points. But what establishes the right or optimal and why of distributions? Quarterly, weekly, monthly, why not daily? Why not every 2 years? Like what's kind of the thought behind there, the mechanics? Just something that came to mind. So those are our talking points for this afternoon. It is 1:03 p.m. Still sitting here right on our little channel for Datadog. Still thinking again. Once we get through like this 1:30 is kind of the timing I've put on for the afternoon. Again, 9:30 to 10:17. Again, that's to this one was like 10:30. But the morning trade and then some sort of light or again directional potential change around the 1:15 to 1:30. Kind of like the resolution to lunchtime, and then kind of just trade into the end of the day. So no real expectation here, not feeling great, don't really want to close it. So we'll probably just hold it here with, again, half of our share size with this hard stop loss, not really seeing much movement, just kind of bouncing around. Pretty big spread, 25 to 50 cent spread throughout the day. Not huge volume. Again, when I say not huge volume, I mean in relation to what I've seen to at least cause some sort of change. Sitting here literally watching the level 2 day in, just kind of like plodding along. So expecting a decision, meaning it'll break up or down. I'm thinking it's going to break up and we're going to lose some money. But we'll have half our share in the hard stop loss, always subject to intuitive changing. Again, I don't do this in real time. I do this pretty close. I mean, it's uploaded within 24 hours. But yeah, and so we will check in later. Finishing up 1:04 p.m. Monday, May 18th, 4:01 p.m. What's up, everybody? Checking back in. The market just closed. Couple talking points, couple trading considerations. As you can see, we are back at Datadog. My Datadog is right next to me. He's sleeping. Pretty much this channel, again, I wouldn't even call this trading, just kind of plopped around. A channel to me would be if like a good amount of shares were exchanged, or if you're watching the level 2, you feel the actual movement of the churn. This just kind of plopped around. And so we are continuing to plop around at the top of our channel. When the market closes, it cancels the open orders. So I did have the hard stop at I think I bumped it up to 217, but just basically covering any extreme appreciation, but trying to stay in the trade if it were to fluctuate up or down, or up, but not like a big substantial movement. And so, again, looking at the chart, as you can tell, I always kind of fluctuate, oscillate, jump back and forth between a daily chart. These are daily candles, the price action of a given day. And I like the 5-day, 3 minutes as the most indicative for about 5-day trends. But really that 3-day time period is what I'm looking at. And so 208 was, again, our little level that's kind of seemed like a something. Closed above that, 209. The daily, again, it's right up there where it's either going to be a bull flag and then break up to the top, or be a bull flag that fails to break out and goes to the bottom. So it's either going to go up or down with great insight, as always. But we held the same position. Just kind of, again, I still have, just the overall market environment today, the sentiment definitely seemed more negative, meaning depreciation. Again, for the same reasons I've articulated previously, nothing new, nothing has changed. Big old gap over here. But again, another thing is just the company's been around for 5-6 years, and data and software is not that unique, and data is not that indicative of the future, if at all. And I don't know. I thought this is a good trade, so I kind of want to stay in this, even if it pops up a little more. But then again, if I have any sort of confidence on the move, and I'm sitting here, right, it always makes sense to sell if I think it's going to go up, and then just re-enter. And so all of that on the intuitive, just moment-by-moment basis on the personal management, but held the full share size. Feeling like, again, it certainly did not, again, it had another word, opened up down, then kind of bounced up, and then just kind of the same kind of action. And so we'll see what happens over here. I'm not feeling good about it, but we'll see. Tomorrow morning will show up. It could look good, could look bad. Who knows? That's really all for the trading consideration. Just looking at the same position we've had. The weakness over on SanDisk, this was down to like 13 or to the 1275 almost. So this had a little comeback after in the afternoon. Nothing really new, no new insight. Moving on to our talking points. So we had some resolution or initial judgment on the Musk and Altman trial. We briefly referenced it in this trading log, but I did not and have not followed it enough to have any sort of legal perspective. But a judge ruled, or the kind of the resolution was that this lawsuit Musk was seeking, I think, again, it was a lot, like $165 billion of liability. And basically the resolution or the progress today was that this complaint, this legal proceeding, was filed after the statute of limitations. In general, I'm not a fan of statute of limitations. Damages are damages. I would assume the motivation would be, hey, if something's bad happens, get to doing something. If it's real crime or real damages, you'd be all over it. Again, another case where it's like, I have a situation where it's like me, I've tried, but then it's just like, so it's like a bunch of things have passed, I'm sure, for statute of limitations, and I will absolutely not accept any of that bullshit. But I'm assuming the overall principle of statute of limitations is just not to abuse the court system, which I'm completely for, not to wait a long time to try to seek resolution, I'm completely for, because people do seek cash grabs, which is low-level shit behavior. So don't abuse courts. Again, law enforcement. We talked about it yesterday. It's this whole process of not filing trivial lawsuits, of only filing lawsuits with real damages involved, with not calling, just that type of sentiment. And so that was the ruling, is that this was past the statute of limitations. But then that's where I said, if there's real damages, and then I don't want to put like a dollar figure or a notoriety level or anything. Court is equally accessible, or should be, to everybody. It is currently not to anybody. It's just you have to be in the right group to be treated with dignity or respect, to the point where you can directly cite law, offer people $600,000 and say, do something. And they're so lockstep sheep in line, and they won't do anything that feels like, would I be allowed to do something that's actually right but not expected societally? Absolutely not. And so we don't have people that have the ability to make decisions. And to the point where it's just direct criminal activity by law enforcement. And it's just like, there's no life to live in this country. But so overall, I am not for statute of limitations. Overall, I am 100% for not abusing court systems. And so the judge ruled in Altman's favor and kind of absolving or removing this liability, and Musk's lawyer came out and said we're going to appeal. So that's another one of these things where it's just like, again, I don't know how you would regulate it, or even like guidelines, or again just like character principles you would articulate to say, hey, don't abuse the court system. But like, what appeal is a good appeal versus a bad appeal? It's like, some cases, if you can see all of the clear evidence and somebody appeals, you can sit there and groan and say, you're abusing the court system. But then if somebody's actually been wronged and it's not clear, and then people start groaning, it's like you've just eliminated any sense of fairness or justice, which is the whole point. And so it's like a sentiment you want to express. Don't abuse the court systems. And then it's just like, how do you do that? Again, I don't even, like, not even to the point of like trying to enforce that. It's just like tapping the guy on the shoulder next to you and it's like, hey, don't be a dickhead. And so any aspect of court abuse, again, false reporting of crimes, lawsuits where they don't matter, looking for cash grabs, genuinely abusing statute of limitations where you just bring up something from the past just to try to do something. It's all the same umbrella of, again, don't abuse the law. It's the same law enforcement. And so that is, I did not follow the trial at all. To me, it's just still it's amazing that people can actually access court. People can say, oh yeah, this person committed a crime, which you should be. But again, the severity of crime being committed against me personally, the severity of consequence spread throughout the species and the planet, is there's never been a bigger problem. And just categorical patheticness, categorical inability to make decisions, categorical inability to respect the law as it's articulated and supposed to be enforced right now. But it's just, again, not making in any sort of way a religious reference, but historically, right, the Ten Commandments is like, of all of the groups and nations and empires that have existed, it's like this is one, at least from a historical evidence perspective, established what law is. And the first fucking rule up there, it says, do not follow false authority. Again, emphasizing the historical impact, and it's just like, all of the people that won't tell the truth about scientific progress right now is 100% what's encapsulated by that first rule, do not follow false authority. Just meaning follow the law. Because again, historically, whenever this Ten Commandments was established, the derivation of common law certainly comes from one person, but the understanding and implementation at the societal level is, again, what you see, capital G-O-D, is a law office. But it's, again, chronology. Somebody came before them and wasn't abiding by the law, and then you have this law office that says, rule number 1, don't do what those fucking idiots did. Don't follow false authority. And that's literally the societal phenomenon of literally hundreds of thousands of people knowing all of science because it's completely solved, tens of thousands at the very minimum having direct legal and professional obligations to do something, and not a fucking chance any one of them would, including people that I've known personally, people that have watched me suffer profound personal damages, grave bodily harm, and it's just pathetic cowards everywhere. Shout out to James Ryan, shout out to Richard Reese, shout out to Tim Doon, shout out to Gary Lewis Jr., shout out to Edwin Powell, shout out to all of the classics that we've articulated in language, litigation, and integration. So the overall thing for the Altman and Musk is like, wow, people can actually access court and people give a shit. Because if the law is not enforced, it is not a real law, and if one person doesn't have access to the law, nobody really does, or at least you have to be in the right group, which how you ever get into a group of people, I have never successfully done anything besides gotten scapegoated to the point of profound torture. So it's like, I could not tell you how to fit in. But that is all I have for the Musk-Altman decision. We have Trump calls off the Iran strikes after requests from Middle Eastern countries such as Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar. Those are just a couple I've written down. But again, alhamdulillah, Iran, what are you doing? Donald, what are we doing? Again, all of science is sitting on your desk. Just stop fucking doing dumb shit and killing each other. I mean, what else is there to say? Iran, be better with how you treat your people and how you treat the world. Wallahi. Donald, just don't go around blowing up random shit because you're a celebrity trying to say, hey, I'm going to be the commander-in-chief now, and then what are our objectives? Remove enriched uranium, And there was no imminent threat. Oh, well, they still shouldn't have a nuke. It's just like, why does anybody have nukes? Why do we do that? Are we going to seriously sit here and act like there isn't the most massive reverse engineering apparatus that is international right now that I am well aware of? Like, what universe is this? The one of extreme hypocrisy where, like, nothing is ever going to resolve. And in reality, you guys are just so fucking short-sighted. Literally all of logic, the form of logic, is contracting throughout the species. It is a physical inevitability. Continue to emphasize that. Doesn't matter what color your skin is, doesn't matter what color or culture you come from. It is true and it is happening. So probably should kill each other less. That's just my overall direction to both sides. My estate will care about nothing. Ha ha ha. The law will be enforced. Ha ha ha. But actually. And so, yeah. I definitely, dumb shit is dumb shit from both sides. A little bit on the trading of the SpaceX IPO and the Cerberus IPO came up. I saw a headline that said Cerberus was up, or Cerberus, whatever that is. CRBS, I believe. Come on, big money. Nope. I thought I had it written down. Oh, CBRS. But the headline was it was up 6% since the IPO. I guess another one of these like disjoint from headline to chart. All right, we have 3 days of trading for this security. Since the IPO, it opened here. All right, it opened here. This is the first, right, when a red candle, the top part is where it opened and the bottom is where it closed. Boop. So this is not above that. So what are you saying? Again, just one of these things where it's like the overall news cycle, and obviously it's not the host like picking the topics, but it's just disjointed. And so you have to trade the market dynamics as they present, not as you want them to be, or not as CNBC's news cycle pairs up to them. But when I saw its headline that said Cerberus was up 6%, I was like, no, it's not. What are you talking about? And it's definitely not. So I don't know what that headline was, but it's enough for me to write it down, point out again, just the overall news cycle to the price action is rather disjointed. We had, for the overall SpaceX IPO, again, no opinion, won't trade it, no insight whatsoever. But we had, for our final point, I believe, unless I want to say anything else about trading, nah, not really, just finishing up. So we had Eric Schmidt, the former Google CEO, giving a commencement speech at Arizona. So Elon Musk, he's supercharged with a couple extra chromosomes. He has rights and he's allowed to sue Sam Altman. Even he's allowed to go through the appeal process too. Because again, I haven't followed the trial enough to. I'm not a fan of Elon Musk is a goofball and a criminal. Again, all of these people are aware of me personally. It's not like I'm just saying, oh, rich guy, I should be richer than that guy. And it's everyone's idiots. Holy shit, there are no laws. Eric Schmidt gives a commencement speech, and all of the privileged kids that get to go to university boo. And so we have one privileged guy talking to other privileged people. The other privileged people thinking they're AI. I can't have an opportunity. It's like you have the opportunity to go to school. I just see privilege everywhere. On a direct, immediate, personal finance, Brad's behavior versus anybody else's behavior, money management, all things considered, there's nobody that could compete. Again, the great life experience of not having constitutional rights, everything against you is like instinctual crime, actually, literally, with profound detriment, and there was no recourse, there was no court process, there was no law enforcement guys with badges, there's just go fuck yourself. And then you're sitting on here going to be 33 years of age. Everybody is privileged beyond your wildest imaginations. And it's like what do you talk about? Again, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8 of the United States Constitution. Supposed to give me constitutional rights. The global intelligence apparatus that I am way more sentient than is trying to cite some sort of law to be like, hey, we didn't know what was going on. Oh no, don't care. Don't care. Death and destruction, Attorney General. Across the species, you guys just fucked up. Fuck everybody. Yep, get fucked. So that's what I have for today. Yeah, another exciting one. Again, I still do not have life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, the ability to take care of my own health, any quality of life whatsoever. That is not a joke nor an exaggeration. Continuing to beg for a little bit of money, to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work. No expectation that will ever happen, but hopefully one day my life will matter to somebody. Final check over here on Datadog. Not looking strong. The market's still closed, but we will pop on tomorrow and we'll either be down about $700 or flat or get about $30 back, or who knows, up, down, left, right. It could go anywhere, but it's not going to go back in time. So I will see you tomorrow or later today on something else.